So, good morning again. Um, I got about 30 minutes before my daughter wakes up, 7 o'clock, and couldn't sleep last night. Just so much on my mind. And it's my birthday, and I just feel like making videos right now. Like I'm just in a video. There's just so much to tell. There's just so much to tell about the VA and how it needs the whole system wide needs to be restructured from leadership down to the veteran. Seriously. You know, because the 3 years that I was waiting for disability and the different homeless shelters I was in before I met I started a company, and then I was in a homeless shelter, and then a friend helped me start a company, so I started doing a few things there, but it didn't work out too well. I started having panic attacks. It didn't work out too well, so I met my wife, and she was my girlfriend at the time, of course, and we were living at our mother-in-law's house, my mother-in-law's house at the time, and started going to school. Started going to school. I wasn't collecting any disability. I was still fighting for it from 2014. So 2016 was the first check that I got. Late 2016, in December 2016, it's the first check that I got for disability from 2014. When I should have probably had disability from 2012. But back then, what I'm trying to talk about is that whole time that I was waiting on disability, I shouldn't have pushed myself to work like I did. I'm a former EMT, I'm a former firefighter, and so, man, I've been firefighting since I was 14 years old. 14 years old was when I went into the Explorer program and was an explorer at the fire department. And then when I'd come home on deployments, I would go to the fire station and just to continue on as usual. I'd come home on leave from Iraq and I would start going on fire calls, you know? And it was just a real blessing, I did that for years. And then I got my EMT license on my third deployment, came home and I tried to be an EMT, and I just can't do pediatrics that well, and I can't deal with death that well anymore, so that wasn't a good fit, with me trying to having panic attacks, doing that. I didn't feel comfortable with me being like, if it's God's will to put me in a situation to save someone's life, then I can't do much about that. So I always carry my EMT bag with me wherever I go, and so that whole time I was waiting on disability, I could have received pension, and not one person said, "Hey, you know, get on pension, file for pension." Of course, the first 6 months, I think, after your deployment and you're in the National Guard like I was in the 6 years I was in the National Guard, 5 years, 4 years and 10 months was active duty time. And so I never really went to drill. Like I didn't, I was always deployed. I was always mostly on active duty orders. But when you came home from your deployment, you were eligible for unemployment for 6 months or something like that, or whatever. It's kind of help us out thing, which is really cool. The state has that ability to do, which is very thankful. But after that 6 months, you got to find something to do, and I was still so young. I was 17 when I joined, and I was 18 a month before boots on ground in Iraq. I was so young. I think I was the youngest one in my whole division, and to deploy. And so when I went over, I thought it was going to be like MASH, but I was so wrong. I was so young and dumb. I was so ignorant about a lot of things in life. But that first deployment really changed my life. It really kind of founded my core beliefs. And when you're in the military, in basic training, we had a lot of fights and arguments on religion, on racism, on a lot of things. Because you take people from all over the United States and you put them in this platoon of 30 or 40, and you're with them 24/7 for 9 weeks. And so what the cool thing about basic training is that you go there frightened and scared and really not in shape. I mean, some people are in shape and go out. I was in decent shape too. And then you leave there with a sense of camaraderie, and a sense of accomplishment from basic training. And it really, it starts defying who you are as a man or woman and what you want to be in life, because basic training is not just teaching military skills, it's also teaching you how to handle stress and life problems, And so that's the thing I miss most about the military is the camaraderie. I miss my friends. I miss my battles, Now they're split all over the United States, but I think that's the hardest thing. So we try to keep in touch on social media, And but that whole time I could have been on pension. That whole time, I could have filed for pension, But it took them 3.5 years, almost 4 years, to get my disability in order. All because they forgot the VBA, the Veteran Benefits Administration. So you got the VA and then you got the VBA. They are in together, but then they're separate when it comes between healthcare and disability. But they are in the same, it's still part of the VA. But it took them almost 4 years. All because they denied my first decision, or they denied me because they forgot to ask me one question. And when you appeal things, they either want you to reconsider, to ask for reconsideration, or to appeal it, to file a notice of disagreement. Excuse me. So what I learned was that if you file a notice of disagreement, they will backdate your pay from the original time of when you file that claim. But if you ask for reconsideration, they will not back pay you. They will only start paying you from the time that they reconsider the claim. So thankfully I did a notice of disagreement because I was just thankful. Now that money is come and gone, but whatever. It's life for you. But and then that was the thing about pension. It's so if you're waiting on disability, try to get pension. And you can still get Social Security. Social Security is a big thing. It's helping me out a lot with healthcare, with Medicare, And they'll backdate it too. They'll backdate it. They backdated mine all the way to 2015. So I didn't have to wait the year period for Medicare. It was already, I had to wait or the 2 years. A year or 2 years, I don't know. I think it's 2 years. So I only had to wait for a few months to start receiving Medicare. I think it's 2 years maybe you have to wait to start getting Medicare off of Social Security disability. So, but the thing is don't fraud them. If your problems are real, and they'll know it. They'll know it because you'll be complaining. You'll be, if you're not complaining at the VA, then something's wrong. That's how bad the VA is. If you're not complaining about something, you either don't care and you just don't care, or you're trying to get care and they're just going too slow and they're just closing doors on you. Now, it might be different for the older generation because I say they're not as proactive as they probably want to be. And a lot of older generations, like my grandpa, he was taking 30 or 40 different pills a day. He just had so many pills to take, but he didn't have anybody to advocate for him. And unfortunately, I was deployed, and I was so young that I couldn't advocate for him when he started having his problems at the VA. But he passed away 2 years ago. He was really like the center of our family. That has been a hard tragedy on my life, was my grandpa passing. But it's life. I've had a lot of friends pass now. It's just ridiculous. Shout out to my brother in arms, Corey Brown. He was my roommate and battle buddy in Iraq. He committed suicide a long time ago when we got back from Iraq, and the VA didn't have a grasp on him either. And because of him, there's now a new communication link between the National Guard and the VA because of Corey Brown. So shout out to Corey Brown. Much love, brother man. Much love. And it's so sad. There's a lot of veterans committing suicide because of lack of care. And that's going to be in the book too. A lack of care is causing veterans to commit suicide. Just the lack of care. Now, I haven't thought about suicide myself, but I've thought that I can understand why veterans commit suicide. Like, I can understand why they would do it because I have a logical mindset. Like, even though it's basically unlogical to commit suicide because you're not really hurting you, you're hurting the other people. But the logic behind it is that they just get so fed up and they just don't know what to do anymore, and then they're done. They're just so stressed, and they're probably, they need help. They need immediate help. They can't wait for months and months to get health care. They need it now, and so, too bad the VA's how it is. So I gotta cut this video short. Anyways, it's a lot longer. Probably no one gonna watch this anyways, but anyways, if you do, write some comments down. I'll reply back, whatever, subscribe, like, Apparently you can make money on YouTube. And the only reason I'm doing this and writing this book is that our funds will go directly to homeless veterans and, okay, get this, and to service dogs that vets need, service dogs for PTSD or mobility support dogs or therapeutic dogs, to help pay for their vet care, getting their dog, because they need a specific type of dog. They don't need a mutt. Okay, I know there's tons of dogs out there that's in shelters, and it's sad. I used to work in a shelter when I was a kid, and it's just sad, and it's been going on for years. But some mobility dogs need to be a specific breed, just to be trained the proper way. But some people can train any dog, So some people have that gift. I just recently had a Dana, and I had to give him up because it was too much for my back. And I loved him. My daughter loved him, but he was a big dog. They call him a gentle giant for a reason, but he was a big dog. But he helped a lot with my depression because before we got him, I was in bed a lot because I didn't know what to do with my pain, and I was just depressed. But after he came, I was up. He forced me. I had to take care of him more. My wife was dealing with our daughter, and but he was just too much. So I gave him to another guy that was older, and he needed a dog for his depression too. So I'm glad I helped him out whatever time he had him. So, anyways, I'm signing off now. So I'll see y'all later.